I know I talked about Jalen Brunson earlier this week, and I'm gonna do it again. One, because it's my channel, I can do whatever the hell I want. But two, literally in these last few days, I've noticed this sort of switch in the conversation around Jalen Brunson. So if we take it back to last year, right, where he burst onto the scene for the Knicks, and there was obviously a lot of praise towards him for becoming this breakout star, with all the contract stuff. We all know the whole story. It wasn't a massive storyline, but it was definitely talked about. It was big. It was big for the Knicks to get a star point guard. He obviously didn't make the All-Star team last year, but people recognize him as a star. Knicks made the second round because of him. It was great. But then this year, as the Knicks try to raise their ceiling, go beyond the second round, a lot of the talk around Brunson started to be about what he isn't, right? He's not the best player on a championship team. He's not a 1A guy, whether it was Kenny Smith, Becky Hammond, or a lot of other, whether it was national media or just people on Twitter, the whole talk was the Knicks still need to get their guy. They need that 1A guy. What kind of moves can they make? Brunson isn't that kind of player. He's really good, blah, blah, blah. The conversation started to switch negatively in that way. And now it really does feel like the conversation over these last few weeks, but really in these last few days, is starting to break through that narrative of Jalen Brunson can't be that 1A best player on a championship team. He's only a star. He's not a superstar. To not necessarily anointing him that, but more so just being guys, Jalen Brunson, can he? People are starting to ask the question. People are starting to, consider him for not necessarily to win MVP, but he should be on the short list of candidates, whether that's top 3, top 5, it's depends on you. People are saying he should be first team All-NBA. That's insane. Literally one of the 5 best players in the league. And it's so, and for starters, it's certainly warranted. If you look at his numbers, again, 5th in scoring during the regular season, but also 2nd in scoring after the All-Star break, over 30 a game. He's averaging 36 and 8 over his last 10 games on 51, 40, 85 shooting splits. He had 39 points on 65% shooting versus Boston last night in 30 minutes. 30 minutes to score 39 points against an insane defense. Oh, but Boston wasn't trying so hard. Yeah, if they weren't trying so hard, why did they play all their guys? And why were they picking him up full court? They were trying hard. And he's doing all of this, obviously, dealing with the injuries to OG, dealing with, the absence of Julius Randle, who's been out since before the All-Star break. This is the level we're working at now with Jalen Brunson, where he's putting up, someone on Twitter, a Knicks user put on Twitter, said, he's literally putting up prime Harden numbers over these last 10 games, with maybe even better efficiency. That's the level we're at right now, and it's slowly but surely turning the conversation about Brunson to, again, maybe it's not definitively saying he's the MVP or he's a superstar, because I think superstar needs to be earned with a championship, at least in my opinion. I think it means, can be a best player on a championship team, and you have to do it to prove it. I'm seeing and it feels like it's being picked up more and more on national media, where it's not about what he can't be or what he isn't, just because he just continues to shatter all expectations. So what he isn't is sort of irrelevant if he just keeps busting through it, and we keep sort of asking the question of I don't know, can he? I don't know, let's say nobody is until they are. So you never know, and it's so interesting to watch for me personally, because when it comes to massive NBA storylines, I'm always on the outside looking in from a fan perspective, whether it's the Timberwolves, the Thunder, Nuggets, Celtics, whatever. And so I feel like I'm able to have a very measured and a very leveled perspective. But this is the national storyline about my team and the best player on my team. And that's not to say that I don't try to have a measured approach when talking about my Knicks. I always try and do that. I always feel who's going to be the first person to say that the Knicks suck when they suck? It's going to be me. But it's just, I don't when in seeing the conversation switch to see all this praise from a national perspective, from big picture perspective, it's I'm almost hesitant to join in on it, because it's I do have some sort of I do have some sort of bias when it comes to Jalen Brunson. Naturally, he's my guy. He's the best player on my favorite team, and so I'm almost hesitant to jump in on that, because it's I know why I love Jalen Brunson. I know why Jalen Brunson should be an MVP candidate, should be All-NBA first team. But for me to say, I know why I'm saying that. There is a slight bias in that. Obviously, there is an objective case for him, but I feel I'm saying it with a hint of bias, so it almost doesn't resonate the same. And so to see everyone else sort of coming onto that bandwagon it's like this very interesting, like, it's so weird. Just like, what does it look like from the outside? What does this Jalen Brunson story look like from the outside? I'm asking you, if you're watching this, if you're not a Knicks fan, like, what does the Jalen Brunson experience look like from the outside looking in? Because for me, like, I always feel like I'm going to have a bit of bias, and so I don't know if I can assess it properly, because there is like, as objective as I try to be, there's always going to be a bit of fandom within it. And like, there's part of me that like almost doesn't want to tell you how awesome I think Jalen Brunson is, because I don't think it would come off as objectively as it would from, a non-Knicks fan. And so it's this very interesting state where like I'm almost like hesitant to join in on the fun, and I'm sort of like trying to like pinch myself, like, is this real? Like, are we really talking about Jalen Brunson, like all NBA first team? Like, it's so weird and it's so strange to have like one of your guys, like, it's basically weird to be the main character, to have your team, to have one of your players be the main character of a massive NBA storyline, a national NBA storyline. Like, you just don't really know, because like for most of all of my life, like all the NBA storylines, 99% of the NBA storylines have been about other teams, and so I've been viewing it from an outside perspective. And so now being on the inside with this perspective, it's a very strange feeling that I don't really know how to navigate. But I will say that what Jalen Brunson is doing now and the attention that he's getting now just makes me so excited for the playoffs, because I truly believe the Knicks can go far. I honestly think they could be a dark horse candidate to beat Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't think that's so crazy to say. Not even last night withstanding, although that definitely did help with some of the confidence. But like, you think about how much Brunson's stature is growing on a mainstream level, and it just feels like someone's barricading the doors to the Brunson bandwagon, but like people are just like knocking down, they're like pushing through, and it's like it's about to break. And I just feel like a massive playoff run, like, it's just gonna break the doors wide open. Like, he's just gonna become such a household name, where it's not just this cute underdog story of him becoming a household name as the point guard for the Knicks. It's like, oh wait, no, Jalen Brunson is like legitimately one of the 10 to 12 best players in the NBA. Like, that's not a crazy thing to say, and I really do think a massive playoff run could cement it. And so that's why I'm even more excited for the playoffs, aside from just like being a Knicks fan and hoping the Knicks can go as far as possible. Just like seeing what it could, like, it feels like the momentum is heading that way for Brunson, where like, again, he's picking up more steam. It's just like again, not just like a cute little story about, oh, now he's averaging over 20 points. Like, no, this dude is like one of the guys. Like, when you think of like the NBA guys, like, he's one of them. He's him. So I'm excited to see what a potential playoff run could do for that, and how like it's just such a weird place to be in, and I love it so much. And I'm so grateful for it every night.